The top 10 Magic the Gathering creature types are the types that have appeared most frequently throughout the game's history. This video will use all modern creature types as they've been applied since the Grand Creature Type update of 2007. The rankings are current as of the writing of this video, but may change in the future. To qualify for this list, the creature types have to appear on non-token creatures, as tokens are not counted, and this list will cover only cards that have been physically printed. This list begins with a creature type that harkens back to Magic the Gathering's earliest roots of Dungeons & Dragons. Stealing number 10 on today's list is Rogue. While technically derived from a class, Rogue is also considered a creature type, as Magic the Gathering applies classes separately from and often in conjunction with other creature types. First printed in Mirrodin in 2003, the Rogue typing was retroactively applied to creatures as far back as Arabian Nights. Rogues are considered part of the party, one of 4 creature types lumped together in a D&D style class group. Rogues are crafty, wily creatures that often operate outside traditional moral boundaries, self-serving rather than righteous or maliciously evil. Given their cunning as well as their selfish ambition, rogues are most often blue or black creatures, but can be found in other colors as well. As of writing, there are 523 rogue creatures in the game. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, these and other forces coalesced to form the 9th most common creature type in Magic the Gathering. Number 9 is Elemental. First appearing way back in Alpha, elementals are creatures born or created from the fundamental forces of nature. In addition to the 4 classical elements, they can also arise from unexpected sources like lightning, fungus, time, or even the abstract notion of a question. There are currently 575 elementals in the game. Just like in everyone's favorite not really an anime Avatar: The Last Airbender, the elements of Magic the Gathering exist in harmony. Elementals are the second most widely distributed creature type across all colors of mana. What could be the most widely distributed type, you might wonder? More on that later. Before we get to that, something else has come up, rising up in fact from the grave where it was buried. That's right, number 8 is Zombie. There are a staggering, pun very much intended, 586 zombies in Magic the Gathering. Zombie is known as the characteristic creature type of the mana color black, being so driven to win at all costs that they rebel against the power of death itself. This isn't to say that zombies are all doing this of their own volition though, as most of them are reanimated corpses simply doing the bidding of their masters. However, some zombies do possess intelligence, as there are some necromancers in the multiverse who were able to resurrect themselves after death. The vast majority of zombies fall on the black wedge of the color pie, but they can be found across all colors, with the second most common zombie color being blue. Shifting gears back to D&D, the 7th most common creature type just barely has zombies beat. Maybe it was their faith in a higher power that allowed them to attain number 7, Cleric. One of the 4 members of the party, clerics are any religious officials or adherents who draw strength from their devotion to a deity, or in some cases, something more sinister. Though primarily associated with white mana, protection, and healing, they frequently appear in black as well. Black-aligned clerics are often monstrous creatures like vampires and worship dark gods such as Aklazot's the Great Betrayer. Whether part of a church or a cult, whether human, vampiric, or otherwise, clerics are a surprisingly diverse creature type, with 590 of them currently in the game. While Magic has seen some genre-bending experimentation over the years, delving into the realms of horror and even science fiction, it's still a game firmly rooted in fantasy. The next creature type should come as no surprise then, because number 6 is Elf. Elf is the characteristic creature type of green mana. Elves are found throughout the multiverse of Magic, usually being similar to humans with the exception of pointed ears. In addition to human-like skin tones, some elves have blue or green skin and longer limbs, and elves typically live much longer than humans wherever they appear in the multiverse. Synonymous with the forest, elves are also known mechanically to be mana dorks, creatures that can produce additional mana. Arguably the most famous mana dork of all time is Llanowar elves. Despite being pretty ubiquitous, there are some planes where elves are not known to exist, such as the ancient Egypt-inspired plane of Amonkhet and the all-animal plane of Bloomborough. Elves did once exist on Innistrad, the plane of Gothic horror, but it's said they were driven to extinction by the plane's other inhabitants. Sourced from many other planes of the multiverse though, there are 609 elves we know of so far. Speaking of Innistrad and brooding creatures, the next spot on today's list belongs to another undead creature type. No, we're not talking about the zombie type again, we're talking about number 5, Spirit. While typically associated with the soul of a deceased person, a spirit is any type of being made of incorporeal energy, and it can also represent objects of worship or the personification of the abstract. The first two cards printed with this creature type were Rajan Spirit and Thunder Spirit from Legends, but the typing was retroactively applied to Dancing Scimitar from Arabian Nights, making it technically the first spirit released in the game. Obsolete creature types that were lumped together as spirits include the Banshee, Ghost, Poltergeist, and Will-o'-the-Wisp. Interestingly, Spirit can function as both a race and a class. Spirits are primarily white, but blue and black are a relatively close second and third respectively, and there are a total of 650 of them in Magic to date. As we approach the number 1 spot on this list, these groups of creatures are getting larger and larger, practically amassing their own armies. That's especially true for number 4, Soldier. Soldier is another creature class typing, signifying a member of the armed forces. Soldiers are specially trained in the ways of combat to function as part of a group. While they might be weak individually, their strength often lies in numbers. In keeping with the flavor of their combat training, many soldiers have combat-related abilities like First Strike and Vigilance, ready to make the first move in battle and standing watch faithfully for incoming threats. Retroactively, the soldier typing goes all the way back to Alpha with creatures like Benelish Hero. Speaking of which, Hero was one of the old types lumped together under the Soldier umbrella, along with Avenger, Legionnaire, Pikeman, and Squire. Soldiers are overwhelmingly part of the white wedge of the color pie, but can be found in all other colors too. There's more than one way to approach combat, as the next spot on this list can attest. Soldiers are all about working together, strength in numbers, and discipline, but they rarely shine alone. This isn't the case with the next type, number 3, Warrior. The third member of the party we've discussed so far, warriors are less likely to fight in groups like their soldier counterparts and instead usually prefer to go it alone. Whereas soldiers rely on tactics and strategy, warriors are all about individual strength and sheer brute force. This is exemplified by the fact that many warriors have trample. Unsurprisingly, red has the most warriors of any color in Magic, since being a warrior involves passion, ferocity, and doing damage. Red is followed by green and then black in a distant third. Although rare, white does have a few warriors, such as those from Amonkhet and Zendikar. Blue has the fewest warriors of all, since individual combat prowess isn't typically blue's thing. But you know what is blue's thing? The second most common creature type. Number 2, Wizard. The Wizard is the fourth and final member of the party, and it's been a staple type in MTG since Alpha's Prodigal Sorcerer. A wizard is a being who channels mana to cast powerful spells, and since it's one of those class types, wizards can be found in numerous species throughout the multiverse. Wizards can come by their magical abilities in a number of ways, including both rigorous study and innate talent, although they're most often associated with the accumulation of wisdom. That's because blue is the mana color associated with knowledge, and there are more blue wizards in Magic than there are wizards of all other colors combined. Probably the most famous wizard in all of Magic is Jace Beleren. Jace is a wizard who also happens to be a mage, it's complicated, who usually appears as a planeswalker, and his name alone appears on 27 different cards. The Wizards of the Coast have given the Wizards of the game a lot of love over the years. To date, there are 1,077 wizards in Magic, but there are sure to be many, many more. Wizards are so numerous that they're eclipsed by only one other creature type, a creature type with over triple their numbers. A creature type so common you'll either see this one coming from a mile away or be taken completely by surprise. Could it be Goblin, Dragon, Construct, maybe Beast? Nope, this one hits much closer to home. It's number 1, Human. Humans are four-limbed bipedal mammals that come in various sizes, shapes, and skin tones. They are known for their enlarged brain size that gives them greater abilities of cognition than most other species. Since human is a species, humans can also have many other subtypes, such as wizard, warrior, cleric, rogue, soldier, you get the picture. You can see why the human is the most ubiquitous creature across the entire multiverse of Magic, at least according to what we've seen so far. Human is a blank template upon which more interesting aspects can be slapped. Oh, and remember elementals being the second most widely distributed creature type across all colors of mana? Humans are number 1. There are only 2 planes in the multiverse known to be human-free. Lorwyn Shadowmoor, an isolated plane populated by elves, giants, fairies, and the like, and the all-animal plane of Bloomburrow. Humans are primarily white, and I mean the mana color of course, since white is often the mana color of squishy, individually unimpressive creatures with strength in numbers. Red and blue are almost tied for second, followed by black and green coming in last. How many humans would you guess there are in the game? 2,000? Higher. 3,000? Even higher. 4,000? Well, actually a bit lower than that. There are 3,658 as of writing, giving humans a comfortable lead as the most common creature type in all of Magic the Gathering. Were there any types you were surprised to see in the top 10? Were there any types you were sure would appear but didn't quite make the cut? Drop a comment below and subscribe for more cardboard content in the future.